Every morning before the sun rose, an older man named Richard arrived at the small community center in Chicago. He wore the same faded jacket, a cap pulled low, and heavy work boots that had clearly seen better days. To everyone who worked at the soup kitchen, he was simply Mr. Rick, the quiet volunteer who always came early, stayed late, and never complained. He scrubbed floors, peeled potatoes, and served hot meals with a gentle smile. Many assumed he was just another retiree looking for purpose, maybe even someone who had once been in need himself. He blended in so seamlessly with the other volunteers that no one ever asked much about his past. But what nobody knew was that Mr. Rick wasn't just a kind old man helping at the center. He was, in fact, Richard Halley, a multi-millionaire businessman who had once owned a chain of construction companies. After selling his empire years before, he had disappeared from the public eye. Richard had grown up poor. As a child, he had stood in line at food banks with his mother, ashamed, hungry, and invisible to the world. That memory never left him. When he finally made his fortune, he decided he would never forget the people society tried to ignore. But he also refused to play the role of the philanthropist millionaire seeking applause. He wanted to help quietly, without recognition. What no one at the soup kitchen realized was that the man scrubbing pots was the very person paying the rent for the building, covering the bills for electricity and heat, and secretly donating thousands of dollars each month to keep the food coming in. For years, Richard kept his secret. He found peace in anonymity. The volunteers knew him as humble and tireless, never imagining that without him, the doors of the center would have closed long ago. The truth only came out one bitter winter evening. A snowstorm hit the city, and the soup kitchen nearly ran out of food. The director panicked, the funding was gone, the pantry was empty, and tomorrow dozens of hungry families would have nowhere to go. That night, Richard quietly wrote a check large enough to cover the entire next year's expenses. But when he handed it to the director, he forgot to remove the checkbook from his pocket. The name at the top was unmistakable. The volunteers were stunned. The man they thought was just a quiet janitor had been their lifeline all along. When asked why he had hidden his wealth, Richard simply said, "Because hunger doesn't care who you are. I wanted to stand next to people, not above them." From that day forward, Richard's story spread far beyond the walls of the soup kitchen. And while he never sought recognition, he became a symbol of what true generosity looks like, giving without needing the world to notice.